Hmm? Ah!
You're listening to the Run for Your Lives podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Pake.
And this is the Run for Your Lives podcast.
This episode is one that has been waited on for a while and requested by many of you. And we've been ready to do it for a while, so we're finally going to do it. Yes, it is the mystery horror film Weapons, directed and produced by Zach Cregger and released August 8th, 2025. Daphne doesn't remember what the movie's called and had to...
I don't know how that got there. I think you did it. You
I did
put
not touch
there.
it.
Yes, you did.
Don't you blame me for that one.
I have to. I take the blame all the time, so just once I'm going to blame you. I was so excited to see this one in the theater because, to be honest, the previews for it creeped me out so bad that when we got in there, we were sitting down getting ready to watch it. All I could think of was the ads that ran with the kids running with their arms like out like an airplane kind of. And it just creeped me out so bad. And then it wasn't what I expected completely. So, yeah, we'll definitely talk about that.
That's Zach Cregger. He's good. I mean, it's only his second full-length film like that, but we've covered his first one. We did Barbarian several seasons ago, and been looking forward to this one. I was really, really excited to see what he did with a follow-up film. And now after this one, I'm absolutely sold and bought into, like, okay, anything he wants to do. We've talked about it. There's just something about newer horror directors that come from comedy backgrounds that just know what they're doing. And
they do.
Oh, it's so good.
Jordan Peele really started something, I think. And I was talking about it the other day with some friends about the different directors that I feel are taking horror to a different level. The newer ones that are coming along. It's like this generation. And Zach Cregger is definitely one of them. And one of my friends said, well, you know, can you name 5? And I said, I can. Zach Cregger, Ryan Coogler, Jordan Peele, Oz Perkins, John Krasinski.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to say Oz Perkins. Speaking of him, I saw today, as we're recording this, because we've covered Longlegs and The Monkey, I think both last season, and the trailer for his new one, Keeper, released, and I watched that today. I usually don't watch trailers, but I had to see a little bit of it at least, just to make sure. I was like, okay, where are we at? And I was like, okay, no. But once I got the gist, I stopped it, and I was like, okay, cool. We'll definitely do that one eventually. Looks horrifying.
As usual. I mean, his movies definitely have this great storytelling perspective, but it also has the creep factor and other nuances that make you terrified but not able to look away.
Yeah.
At the same time. So, yeah. I'm excited.
Some really great, like, newer horror directors that, are just doing incredible things. And
yeah.
So that's why we've been excited. We're finally jumping into Weapons because, after Barbarian, I was like, okay, I like what this guy's doing. Let's see. And then I didn't get a chance to go to the theaters to see it like you did, but I have seen it prior to coverage today. This was my second watch. I did just watch it on my own at home a while back just because I was like, I have to. I'm not waiting until we record on this one. I need to know. And I think it was a good reason, like a good way to do that, because coming at notes today from already seeing it and looking at it from like a second watch perspective, I think was a really good thing for me today. Or else it would have just been me a lot of what the fuck's happening? What's going on?
Well, and that's the thing. The movies like this that are told in this way, that's not linear. It's more... It reminds me a lot of Memento, which is a great movie you haven't seen, but you should someday. We can't cover it because it doesn't really fit our genre, but it's really well done. And it reminded me of that, as well as Prisoners, which was another movie that just there's grittiness to it that remind me of this one. There's, there are a bunch of different things. And then I read that Zach Cregger was inspired by Prisoners, so I felt kind of good to have made that connection on my own.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, good, because that's the vibe I got from this, for sure. There was so much tension in this movie, and the use of sound effects and music, like string sounds especially, at those moments, man. The
score for this movie is phenomenal.
It is. It is. Use of music, I think, as a whole, even, like, when the kids are running away or leaving their houses, they used Beware of Darkness by George Harrison, and that just amplified the creep factor and the unnerving feeling that you get from watching this movie.
Yeah.
So, but again, too, this is a movie that's talking and tackling grief and anger and frustration, and we don't shy away from talking about movies like that on this podcast.
No, it's funny, and I'll get into this note. I have some really like long, big notes on this one. A few. So I'm sure I'll get to this soon because a friend of mine, Alex, not the little boy from the movie, but a different one. It's funny because I think just last week we were talking about it because he just goes, "You saw Weapons, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "What did you think?" And I was expecting, the ending, because that's what everybody asked me about. Did I like the ending? He goes, "No, what do you think it was talking about? What was the theme? What was the message? What were they trying to?" And I go, my response literally was like, "Well, we haven't covered it yet, so I haven't thought about that too deeply." And then he gave me his perspective on it, and it's not really one I had thought about too much. But as we talked about it and he kind of explained it, I was like, oh, that is really good. And so I kind of like pulled that apart or broke it apart a little bit. It was like, so me and him just talked about it, and I was like, oh yeah, because this and this, and then we kind of generalized it, and I'll get to it soon where I'll like really break that down. But then I was like, I don't know if he'll ever listen to this, but I was like, thanks, Alex, for that. That was really cool to like get that perspective and then look at it through that lens and then add some other like lenses to that and be like, I think before I even covered it. And I was like, good. Now I actually have some thoughts before I even go into record on it soon. Cause I was like, I like that. So I had a chance to like really break it down with a friend and be like, ooh, that's heavy. That's good.
Yeah. I liked too the voiceovers that we get at the beginning and the end, which take you down this road of this is a true story, but no one's going to tell the truth about it. Or at least law enforcement isn't going to tell the truth about it because they didn't solve the case. And so they were embarrassed. And it just adds another layer to a story presented in this way where you don't get all of the information up front.
And I think that line also means something deeper, and that'll be in that little synopsis, or, break that down that I'll do in a little bit too. I do like, which I know because it is kind of marketed in some ways as like a comedy horror, the way that, and I was like, what is funny about this movie? I remember the first watch being like, it's a dark comedy, and I'm like, the fuck it is.
Yeah.
But on second watch, I did find more humor in it than I did the first time because I think I was just too deeply unsettled and trying to figure out what was going on my first watch. Being able to relax from that on second watch, already knowing everything that's going on and like being able to kind of like look at it through that lens, I was like, the humor came through a lot more on this second watch. Yeah. Where I was definitely like, I was like, okay, there are definitely, especially near the end where it gets the heaviest and most intense, also has the most humor to balance that.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there was one part where the audience actually laughed at the theater.
Mm-hmm.
One particular part. And I think part of it, honestly, was the tension had built up so much that at the point that it happened, people just lost it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I get it at this what
point. Was that? Unless you have that included later.
It was the end. Not specifically the very end, but the children and the chase and Gladys.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one where just her kind of and then they come running through, and the guy mowing his lawn stopping and watching, and then like going through people's houses, and then even Archer like following the like path of destruction afterwards, and then people like, oh my god, there's glass, there's a man in our house, like it's just a lot of like those like little, it's some levity in the intensity of the situation.
Absolutely, because at that point everything was so dire, and you really had seen some gruesome things. And so for it to unravel that way, good on you, Alex. Good on you. That's all I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. Good for you. For it to unravel that way, the kids running and jumping through windows reminded me of World War Z, of how the zombies were just like climbing so fast and everything, that the running and the yelling from her, Amy Madigan, my goodness, I've seen her in so many things, but as Gladys in this, she was truly terrifying. And also going back this time, because this was my second watch, because I did see it in the theater. Going back and watching it, I paid close attention to any glimpses of her that we got before.
Yeah.
There aren't many, but there are a few. And there were some cool cameos or smaller parts or non-lead parts in this movie. We get Justin Long, Sarah Paxton, as parents of Bailey, Benedict Wong as the principal. Everyone knows him from Marvel, but I know him from the IT Crowd. He had one role on the IT Crowd. There were some gruesome parts in this movie, and you didn't get enough information. You're trying to put it together just like Archer. At times, like you're trying to figure out what on earth is going on, and it was a lot to digest. I was thinking about this movie for a couple of days after I watched it the first time, because there were things that just stuck in my head and I couldn't get them out. It was just like, oh, wow, a lot of grief, anger, frustration, confusion.
We love those.
We do.
I realized we jumped so far because we didn't even do production notes or synopsis. We skipped over all of that. And I'm like, do we need it? I don't know.
No, we're going to do it because we always do. And then we're going to jump right into talking about this movie and how we're going to talk about it, because it's kind of complicated if you look at the way that it's told, because it's nonlinear. It could be very jump aroundy, I guess. With some of it.
The movie itself is kind of that way, so...
Yeah. I feel like we have to... Let's stay true to the movie. So, this one was filmed in Atlanta, Georgia, as well as Covington, Tucker, and Griffin, which are communities, I think, around Atlanta. It's the fourth film from Zach Cregger, but not... I mean, of those four, it's the second real movie.
Wide release, well known, like
who, as Peg mentioned, is a comedian who gave us Barbarian. Budget for this one, $38 million. It grossed $367 million at the box office. I would consider that a hit. 128 minutes long. Peg, give us a synopsis.
When all but one child from the same class mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind the disappearance.
Yes. And how fast a community looks to find a connecting thread and then turns on people.
Yeah. Oh, man. Do I go ahead and get really deep briefly? There's a few thoughts before we get into breaking down, which even then, jumping around a little bit, we usually kind of break down by character. This time, because I know if you've been listening to the past several episodes, there's been a lot of movies where I'm like, we'll just go through the notes in the order I took them because everything happens to everybody all at once for the most part, and we just kind of run through it. We're doing that again this week, I think, for a different reason, and that is because, as Daphne said, the way this movie is formatted, I like the idea of going through the characters in the order of the title cards that we get throughout the movie. They're like chapter markers, but they're done by character.
Yes.
And so I'm like, well, then just do the characters in that order. But then I was like, to keep me from even having to move my notes around, I'm still just going to do things in the order I took the notes chronologically, even though maybe in some of those chapters, some extra things about characters will get touched on and revealed. But I'm like, but they're references to things we saw earlier, so putting them out of order might just get weird. So I was like, you know what? I have another good excuse to not do more prep time on compiling and changing the order of my notes around. But It makes sense for what this movie is, too. So
yeah, I messaged you, like, I think an hour before we were ready to record and said, this could be interesting because it's not... The characters, there are, like you said, the title, we get those cards, but... Mm-hmm. Characters are intertwined a little bit, showing you the main parts of each character as we go. But it also means that you don't get the full story of that character, like the secondary character. Like, we start with Justine, we get the principal Marcus, we get others in it, but you don't really know everything until we get to their character. And you're not even sure, really, who is going to get a breakout. So it's step by step by step.
Yeah. So even before that Justine card, we get like kind of the main opening, which we've gone over, even like with the synopsis, is just seeing what happened in this town.
Yes.
We get this narration from this like little girl, this voice, which kind of sets everything up. I did kind of laugh just in retrospect now that I'd seen the movie, where she's like at the end, is like, and they all ran off and they never came back. And I was like, well, wait till the end of the movie. I was like, you're being a little dramatic there, little girl. They do come back eventually, but that's me getting way ahead of myself.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess you don't want to spoil that, but like saying that, it's like, okay, now that's just a dramatic turn on her telling the story. It's like, they did. But yeah, so I do have a couple other like notes about Justine that were like before that title card, but I'll throw them in when we get to it. But I figure, since I teased it, what I talked about with my friend Alex, the heaviest, let's get deep.
Okay.
Briefly.
All right, we can do that.
I don't know, content warning, I'm trying to be as careful as I can, but here's what I'll get into. So like I said, I hadn't thought about the deeper meaning too much after the first watch, knowing that we'd eventually get into this.
Yeah.
But then, as I said, I was talking with my friend Alex, and he said something that, like, I hadn't really thought about it in that way, but he goes, here's what I think. He was like, because a lot of people think, oh, gun violence. There's the gun imagery and weapons and school class. And I was like, that could be a small part of it, is kind of what he's saying. But he's like, I don't think that's anywhere near the main implication. And it was more of like child abuse, or more abuse of children. I'm trying to use my words carefully here, in certain ways, but generally as well. But it's, kids that are going through trauma because of abuse that they have gone through, whether physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is. And I was like, man, we love movies about trauma for some reason here. And so this movies
will do that, though. I feel like some of the movies that we've had the deepest discussion on, we go into it not realizing what the discussion's going to end up being.
Yeah.
Until we log on and we start talking and we each had similar thoughts on stuff, and it opens the door to so much more than a 30-minute, 40, 50-minute conversation. Yeah.
But kind of what we talked about, because like I said, I even took that idea and then generalized it to like other things, besides just specifically that, but it's like, but childhood traumas, things that affect a kid's life permanently because of somebody else's actions and choices towards them. And so even like the gun violence, school shootings, people kind of throw that as part of this movie, again, with the title, and like you get Archer's dream that has the big gun hanging out over the house. And so there's some of that, which I will talk about that. But I think it's a lot more general than that. But you think, kids, think about what Gladys has done to these kids. They're kids that have been manipulated or used non-consensually in whatever way, they have no say in it. And having their lives altered or taken from them in sudden, shocking, evil ways. And how in those moments people tend to throw the blame in so many different places.
Always.
Where were the parents? Where were the teachers? The people that are supposed to be looking out for them? Who's responsible for this? Who could have done something different? How do we not, where there's so much blame that goes in places that it shouldn't, or even to the kids themselves sometimes. Look at Alex. Or even Alex's situation in this movie with Gladys, don't tell anybody or things are going to get worse. We're going to keep this between us. Whatever happened, you don't tell anybody about it, because if you tell people, then I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to do this. This is going to happen. You let it happen. You're complicit. You'll be blamed too. You were part of it. Those kind of things tend to really mess with a kid's mental state and psyche. And those are things that are used to manipulate kids after abuse. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and at the end, again, jumping all the way there with that narration, some kids start speaking again, and it's like, yeah, it's not a happy ending, but it's a real one, that we know that trauma of all kinds, but especially in those kind of abuses, takes a huge toll, and kids' lives are affected forever. They will never be the same. They can still grow and heal and live happy lives, but that damage is never going to be undone. That they have their own timelines and versions of that healing, but you can't get rid of it. That is a permanent damage that they're going to have to deal with and live with forever.
And that is 100% true. It absolutely changes your life forever. And honestly, how a child is able to process and move beyond is honestly down to whatever support and help they get to overcome and move beyond it. And not all kids are lucky enough to have that supportive environment to be able to move past it. And that's the tragedy of it.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of things in here. Like I said, it's the blame that's going everywhere. And then this community, as you mentioned, that open narration, they had it all covered up, and, you won't see it on the news. They don't want people to know it in a big way, what happened. And it's well, they dropped the ball. How could we not see what was happening? How could we not know what could we have done to save them from that? And it's well, we don't have an answer, so we ignore it and we don't address it. And so when you start looking at this movie kind of through that lens, it's really heartbreaking, but it's powerful. You're yeah, you can generalize it to specifics like those, or even just in general childhood traumas and abuse that just will sit with kids. And it's yeah, that's, I think a lot of what this movie is trying to say is people want to throw blame in all these places, but it's just the toll that it takes on the kid and what you need to do with that situation.
And that should be the focus, not on blame. Because in this situation, what could they have done to prevent it? Virtually nothing. Yeah. Gladys was going to do this.
You can do everything. And that's those one of those things that's just about this world and people in it is you can do everything right. And things like this still happen. Things still happen because that's just an unfortunate reality that people have to deal with. And it doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it justifiable or okay, but it's, throwing the blame at every person you can and hunting things down. It's no, you pick up the pieces and you do what you can, and it's all about where do you move forward
and how,
and like you said, and the support that survivors and victims and people that have this trauma have and need. And this movie doesn't go into that too much as far as the aftermath and the stuff, but just something, to think about. But I do like that kind of near the end, again, that whole, some of them are talking again. And, it's Alex's parents even, are getting treatment and help somewhere where you see okay, the people and the kids that were under this curse or whatever for more of an extended period of time, they don't bounce back as well. That but you kind of get this when she says, and the girl says, you know, that some of them start talking again. It gives you that glimmer of hope where you're like, okay, it sounds like slowly things are beginning to heal. Like going back to that analogy that I kind of was setting up for it, it's like, it takes time and it's not easy, but healing and growth and, you know, comfort comes back. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of support. It takes a lot of healing, but it can happen.
Yeah, it definitely takes time. It takes support. It takes help from the right people in order to get past it. Like you said, you have to live with it, but you also can live with it and not let it define who you are. And that's the biggest lesson, I think, is to be able to move past it and not let it be the thing that marks you or defines you for the rest of your life. It can be something that happened to you, but it doesn't have to be the thing that defines you in the end. That you can have a life, you can be happy. It's not as easy.
Yeah.
You have something that you have to process and move past. And kids, it's harder because sometimes they don't understand. And so they have to understand it. And in order to do that, sometimes they have to get a little older to really understand. But that's why, you know, mental health professionals, it's such a difficult job because you're trying, it's a job that can have such an amazing impact, but it's also a job that is very difficult because of how it can weigh on you when you're trying to help kids process through some truly gruesome things. I mean, these kids, if you think about it, what they went through with Gladys and then what they did to Gladys, I mean, that's a whole other can of worms.
Yeah. And then there's like the question of like how aware, and like within this world of this movie, like when Gladys has control over people, how much are they there? Are they aware of what's happening or not? Like they don't really touch on that or go into that too much. But even after she's dead and the spell is like broken, you still have the kids all standing around her remains ripped up on the lawn. And it's like, they're just standing there in shock.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought they looked like Stonehenge, honestly. They were standing around like the stones in Stonehenge, just there, just being, until Archer comes out and gets his son. And we get the epilogue, which is what happened to everyone. Except Justine, we don't have any idea what happened to her. Like, they didn't really give any information on what happened to her. I like to hope that she had a decent life. I mean,
it's a lot of trauma in its own for her to go through.
Yeah. It was interesting how they mirrored Archer going to his son with Justine going to check on Alex.
Yeah.
Like, that was going on at the same time. And time is a construct in this movie because as I'm taking notes, I'm like, okay, so this is happening to Marcus, but it was before this happened. And trying to keep the timeline straight in my head because every character, they would bounce back to the beginning time for them and show you what was going on in their life at that time. And so you had to kind of reset your brain every time we went to a different character.
Yeah. Let's get into it character-wise with that. Now that we're like half an hour in. With Justine is the place to start, which first I just have to talk about my love for Julia Garner. Man, like, I mean, this and Fantastic Four, and then, I don't know, maybe even Wolfman that came out this last year. I haven't seen it. Maybe we should check that one out, but I know she starred in that too. I'm loving this rise for Julia Garner. Because I will say I immediately knew that she was something special when I first saw her in Ozark years ago, back in 2017. Holy cow. Ruth is an iconic character forever. If anyone who's seen Ozark, like... and this is still just like a beginning to her incredible career to come, I think, and I'm so on board for it that, like, yes, more Julia Garner, please. She's so good.
Yeah, I haven't seen Ozark, but I know of her. I know of her Emmy wins. I know that she is very talented. I have not seen her in many things, but she knocked it out of the park in this one because she was a flawed person, like flawed character.
Oh, for sure.
And I appreciate what she brought to it. I mean, you could tell that obviously she's a teacher, but you could tell she cared about her students.
Yeah.
And this was weighing on her. The fact that Alex and her were the only ones left, basically. And she was looking at it that way, like, what is going on? She wanted to know what happened because the community turned on her right away and thought that she had done it or she had all the answers when she was innocent of that. I mean, yes, she was hooking up with a married man. She drank a lot, but
she seemed to be a great teacher.
She seemed to be a great teacher.
Really, really cared for these kids.
Yeah, and she wanted to talk to Alex so that she could maybe figure out what had happened because no one was able to get to the bottom of it. And all that was happening is they were just continuing to blame her. And she couldn't do what she loved because she had to go on leave. They made her go on leave because of the polarizing nature of what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they had no proof that she had done anything wrong, the principal had to put her out on leave because parents were too bothered.
It was just, very volatile. I'll say it was cool to see. You mentioned, like Gladys popping up. You know, there are some important characters that are in scenes before they're introduced. Like in this first section, you know, we see, again, on second watch, it's more fun to see when they're like the police are talking to Alex and then like sitting on the couch with him is Gladys and his dad. But you see them just like the partial backs of their heads. And then, of course, when Archer is speaking at the assembly before the school starts back up, you hear his voice and him speak, but you only see, again, him from behind or he's like in the background blurred out. You can't tell it's
him.
You know,
yeah.
You don't see it's Josh Brolin yet. But then I was like, well, Marcus is an exception, of course, because he's the principal there is like with her speech. And then you see that little like James has a quick moment at the liquor store. So it's not like all of them are that way. But
yeah.
Again, those are like, but they're like, you don't realize that those characters are going to be big focal pieces.
You
and
don't.
So, like, that's a huge surprise in itself is when they are ingrained in the story. They give us big clues. But yeah, as you're saying with Justine, can't work because she's being harassed by angry and scared parents.
Mm-hmm.
Calls, hateful words. It's a lot to endure, especially as you know that she's fully innocent.
Yeah.
That it's a lot for her to be going through, especially as a new teacher. Like, this is her first year there, and then this. And
she had lost her previous position.
They go over that because it's like, she got fired from the last school or whatever for inappropriate relations. It was like with a faculty member.
Not a student, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, it was with a faculty member. So then we know what we see between her and Paul is also a habit of hers. Perhaps, but no, they did bring up, so it was interesting to bring up because you mentioned the student thing, is Marcus talking to her about, her having a reputation, quote unquote, for crossing lines of professionalism by going out of her way to help students. And so I had to really think about that and break it down. It was like, oh, God forbid I hug a crying student, lock me away. It's like, well, you gave a ride to a student when they missed the bus, and it's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, that's unprofessional.
What, you're gonna leave the child?
And so I had to break it down because I think I've talked about it on here. I know, and you know me. It's like, I do volunteer work at schools, with elementary schools, the same as this school, K through 5, is what where I do that stuff. And sometimes those hugs from the kids are exactly what I need to brighten my day. I'm gonna let you know, I need it sometimes. It's great, and I think, I can understand people wanting to be very careful about certain things.
Absolutely.
For sure. And I am about a lot of things. And then driving a kid home because she missed the bus. It's like, I can see definitely why you have to be careful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially about the conversation we just had earlier. It's like, you can do everything right and they can be trusted individuals, but you still have to be careful.
Yeah.
I was like, so then you want to be like, well, at the same time, she's a teacher who's been vetted and hired by the school. So some semblance of trust should be there. But that also, there's a lot of teachers and coaches that wind up arrested for things. So it's not a foolproof system by any means. So I'm like, it still is something that needs to be run by the parents. Hindsight. So then I was like, okay, I put way too much thought into this. I was like, okay, put myself in her place, in her shoes. If that situation arises, I think the version of that works, that I in that situation would be like, okay, you take that student and you say, hey, I see you missed the bus. Let's call your parents and let them know.
Mm-hmm.
And then during that call, if you get the idea that the parents are in a place where picking her up is disruptful to an important schedule, then you offer to give the student a ride with the parents' permission. You've always make sure to get those levels of permission and consent and vetting on things. And so as I was thinking about that, I was like, that's the perfect version of that. Like, that's the version that you do. And I was like, I don't know why I'm going into all the weeds on this stuff, but I'm thinking. But what I think it ties back to is the flawed nature of the character of Justine, like you mentioned, is we really see her, that her heart is always in the right place. She has the best of intentions, but she's impulsive and she doesn't think things through very well, and the way that they can be misconstrued or even affect others in certain ways. I mean, we see her definitely cross some lines, with following Alex home and approaching him, and when she's directly been instructed not to talk to him. Definitely, when I see her like watching him get on the bus and then start following the bus, you're like, no, Justine, no, you can't. It's like, see, now you're so upset about people blaming you and thinking you're suspicious, and here you are following an 8-year-old home. Like, you do see what it's like. Come on now.
And her car stands out wherever she's parked.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So she's definitely impulsive, and she does not, even though she means the best and she does care.
Absolutely.
And you know for certain, because the way that she's like painted in this movie is like that she has the best intentions and she's not going to harm these kids. She doesn't think things through. But you know that she cares and worries for the kid, but it's like, yeah, it does make you look bad, and you're putting unnecessary stress on this kid. Like, you don't know what's going on with him, clearly, but like, that is crossing lines, and that's 100% she shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly.
And then I was like, well, on the flip side, I don't know, if she didn't do that, then she wouldn't have seen the weird shit that leads to her constantly putting pressure into looking on into his home life. So
yeah,
what are you gonna do? I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty creepy at Alex's house.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way, and we get to see that, but...
Yeah. Like, I'm not a teacher, but I do work in elementary school. So I was like, I can sort of put myself in her shoes a little bit, be like, okay, what do I do in that situation? It's like, I can definitely see where she definitely made some oversteps and mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's other things that I, like, agree with her on. I'm like, no, give the kid a hug. It's going to be fine. Like, shut up.
Yeah. But is it going to be fine? That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think she's a fixer. Like, she's very quick to think about how she looks at a situation, assesses it, and comes up with a solution without slowing down and actually considering the repercussions or any of those things until it's too late, or maybe she never does. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And things are different because, I mean, I used to get rides home from coaches from playing school sports, and there was never a problem. Like, it wasn't something that ever came up.
Yeah. It's not like it's a different time where things are more or less like happening than they were before. Like, it's not, it's just think people are more aware. And
Absolutely.
I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to speak to this too much and tell parents what they should or shouldn't do. But I think what most would agree with me, that I think, like, honestly, in situations like the thing, communication, open communication and honesty is where it needs to be. Where, like, unfortunately, kids at younger ages need to be talked to about, here's what you do in these situations. Here's what is, like, you never hold this back, or don't keep this secret. One thing I always, like, keep in mind and, like, always make sure to harp on is, like, to kids is, like, if any adult, whether you know them or not, any adult that's asking you to keep secrets is not safe. That's not a safe thing for an adult to do, is to ask children to keep secrets. That's just not.
Yeah, that's a very big red flag. It's something that kids are taught, by their parents to. And in school, I mean, I just think that this has been explained to kids. Don't talk to strangers. Don't take rides from strangers. Don't take candy from strangers. Like, they're, stranger danger is a huge deal. And being aware of things, it's different in the way that we look at it versus the way that it was looked at even 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It continues to get more attention as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. I mean, it definitely needs more attention and like people being very vigilant about things, which is good.
Absolutely.
And so, it just kind of creates the things like, you got to be more careful about just everything because, which is good. You got to watch out for the kids. So, absolutely. Where are we going? Then we see her, dealing with all this stuff. Meeting up with
Paul,
which again, even though I was like, I know we'll talk about him a little more with a section, but since it's here, it's like the notes are in order. Alden Ehrenreich, someone I don't think about super often, but he's always so good in everything I've seen him in. He is like a sleeper genius casting choice for me, where I'm like, every time he pops up in something, I'm like, oh yeah, damn, he's so good. And then I don't know, like Hail Caesar, Solo, Ironheart was great, and hey, even Cocaine Bear.
Well, we may have covered that on this podcast way back in the day.
For whatever reason, I just don't think about him a whole lot, and then he pops up in something, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's phenomenal. He's so good.
Yeah. There are those actors that they're just not on your radar. And then they pop up and you're like, oh yeah, that guy. I really like him in everything he's in. So yeah, and then you remember him for a minute or 2 or 10.
Yeah.
So
Justine points out his like wound on his hand, his finger, which I didn't catch the first time around because why would
you? Even though you're paying attention to details because you have no idea what's going on. Honestly, the first time through, at least in the beginning, I didn't know if Justine did have something to do with what happened because you really don't get enough information.
Anything could happen, yeah. But then, so like on second watch, you're like, oh yeah, so the meeting at the bar, was after his first interaction with James, because when we go back in time, when we get to his section, so it's like, oh yeah. And just the whole thing at the bar with her like flirting with him and trying to get him to, and he won't get a drink, but then by the end, I like that it's just like, no, and then it just cuts to him waking up in her bed. Her playing Gotta Get Up by Harry Nilsson as an alarm for Paul. Diabolical. And the grin on her face says so much.
Yeah, I mean, you imagine they definitely slept together. Like, they don't really show you that they did.
Oh, they do eventually.
They do eventually. Because after this, we get Donna, like, attacking her in the liquor store, talking about her fucking her husband.
Did you fuck him? I didn't fuck him. And that's why later, whenever,
like,
from Paul's perspective, when they show what happened when they go home, and I was like, oh, she did fuck him.
Yep, absolutely.
Got it.
That absolutely happened. I'm like, I don't know why you're trying to hide it. You definitely did. Like, I remembered that part real well. Yeah, it was interesting because Paul also talks to her similarly to how Marcus did about this can't be all about her. Because she keeps saying things like, I need to know, and I need to talk to Alex. And they both are trying to tell her it's not, about you. And then Paul even talks to her about the drinking. He's like, you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to, you're not harping on the specifics too much, but what we talked about is like the blame going a lot of ways. Sometimes it's the people who are supposed to care for the kids or those people, blaming themselves. Well, I need to know. I need to set it right with me. I need to know I need to know without a doubt that there's nothing I could have done differently, or or they sit there and wallow in pity and drink and hate themselves and be like, I should have done something. I should have seen. I should have. I failed this person, and That's also not healthy.
And it really had nothing to do with Justine.
Mm-hmm.
What happened to those kids had nothing to do with Justine and everything to do with Gladys. Everything to do with Gladys. And you don't really meet Gladys until we're a big chunk into the movie. So you don't really know what's happening. You just know what they've given you is the kids ran away. They haven't been seen. And then you're getting these little pieces as we go through each character's story. Yeah. It's like the curtain is being pulled back and we're meeting Gladys. First in glimpses and then in her bright, beautiful face. There she is.
So this is the first time she follows Alex home. And then I was like, I will say the state of the house says that Gladys isn't doing an incredible job at blending in to hide the situation.
No, definitely not. She
not at all.
Not. It is a mess.
Yeah, which is what really causes Justine to be like, to call Marcus and be like, we've got to do something about this. Because something is wrong. There's, something's not right here. She's picking up on signals and signs, and she's like, I don't know if there's anything I could have done the first time, but now I'm seeing things. I'm going to do something about it. And then you talk about Donna, who's mad. Which I was like, is there really a point to that scene other than just adding to the shit that Justine's dealing with? And then I was like, I guess it's just, again, showing consequences of her impulsiveness.
Yeah.
That you see that, like, she makes choices that are not good for her in the end, even if she has the best intentions.
Yeah. I think she's trying to kill the ache that she's feeling. I think she's trying to feel something else or feel nothing, because what she's been feeling is this grief and sadness and worry and blame, thinking, maybe she could have done something to stop it. And she doesn't want to feel any of that. So she wants to be completely drunk so she doesn't feel anything, which makes it worse because then she makes even more impulsive decisions.
What the dream sequences is the one thing in this movie that are very interesting. And I don't know if they really are supposed to mean anything. Because we get, Justine's dream of Alex in the classroom with, like, the Gladys, like, makeup on his face, and then she sees Gladys on the ceiling. And then even, like, later, Archer sees Gladys in the, in his son's bed, like, Matthew becoming Gladys, and the gun. And there's a lot of these things. Is all this, like, a weird kind of premonition of stuff that, because of whatever magic, occult stuff that's going on, that winds up in their brains and they see? Or is it just horror foreshadowing for the audience that's not really important? And
I like your first idea.
Yeah. And then I'll jump ahead because this is kind of in the Archer section, but while we're talking about the dreams, the gun. And that's probably where a lot of the speculation that this movie is about school shootings and gun violence comes from. But according to Zach Cregger himself, he doesn't know what it means. When asked about it in an interview about, like, what's with the gun that's over the gun, he goes, oh, I have no idea. I just thought it looked cool. We wanted to keep it in there. But honestly, it was because he liked including it with no real understanding of it or meaning, other than it emphasizes that it was a dream. And then maybe that's where Archer's head is at in some way, that it symbolizes just kind of where he's thinking about things. But it's supposed to be random because Zach Cregger likes what the audience reactions and theories are going to be. So he literally just said, I threw it in there and it has nothing to do with anything else going on, but I knew it would make people talk, and I think that's fun.
Okay, that's great. I'm trying to think, did he do something like that in Barbarian? I don't know. Now I need to watch Barbarian again and see if I can find anything.
So for somebody asking him in an interview, so what was the symbolism? What was the meaning of the big gun over Archer's house? He goes, I don't know.
Well, Archer does talk to Justine and talks about because Marcus, skipping ahead a little bit, Marcus comes after Justine. And we learn more about that later, why it happened. But also, this is when Archer talks to Justine about seeing someone run like that before, and it being the kids when they were running.
Yeah.
And then he talks about being weaponized like a heat-seeking missile. And that makes perfect sense because the prime directive is to kill Justine. That's all that Marcus is focused on at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Killing her, crawling under the car, getting to her, killing her. His eyes are bugging out of his head like it's insane the way that he looks. It's like a zombie on cocaine. I mean, it's wild.
Yeah.
And it made perfect sense that's how it would appear, especially to someone who's watching it happen. When it's happening to you, you're going to be running for your life, not, watching to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah. So at the end of Justine's section, what kind of leads to how that happens with Marcus later is, again, her crossing that line and following Alex and actually, like, ambushing him on the street before he even gets home and like, hey! And you can tell he's very uncomfortable to the point that he's, don't follow me! And runs back. And it's like him yelling at Justine. Honestly, that kid, such a sweetheart. I think he's just trying to protect her by making her go away. He's scared for her because he knows like the threat that Gladys has given him. And I was like, man, the hell that poor boy is dealing with in that house.
He just wants Gladys
and he's just
to
like,
leave.
Get away. Yeah, and then he just like, Justine, Miss Gandy, get out of here. Don't talk to me. Don't be anywhere near me. And I think part of that is he's like, I don't want anything bad to happen to you.
Exactly.
I don't want, so just go. But then she still sits out there and like stakes the house overnight, which leads to the like Alex's mom coming out to take some of her hair, and it's so creepy. And what I loved about the first watch of this movie was having no clue what was happening and trying to piece things together and just getting more creeped out and concerned. So again, seeing it a second time with full knowledge was definitely a different experience. Still great, but like that super unsettling first watch is just something else that you can only experience that one time. And so it's like,
because you don't know what she's going to do with the scissors.
Yeah.
You think she could kill her. I mean, for all you know, that's what she's going to do. But then she cuts her hair, and that's even creepier. Because you're like, what is she?
She's like, what is that about?
What is that about? And then it kind of transitions into Archer, who is a building contractor, who is not paying very close attention to a job that he's doing.
His mind is fully taken over by what's going on. And his version, a lot of it is lashing out and blaming Justine and trying to find every reason why she's the culprit. What did she do? How do I pin this on her? And again, it's just a way of coping and grieving with something has happened to your child, someone you love. And I don't think Archer's a bad guy. Like, he's kind of painted as like a douchebag in a way at first. But as the movie goes on, I relate and I respect him a lot more. And I really see things through his lens. And I think starting his section with him waking up, he's been sleeping in Matthew's bed at night, just to feel that closeness to his son. I was like, this guy's really going through it. And it's sad. Yeah. Like, you really feel for him.
Yeah.
And then, and you see how much this is consuming his thoughts to where, he shows up at this house that they're building, and he's fucked up like every step of the process that he's supposed to be on the ball. And you just see that like he's falling behind in everything else. I mean, even the way, like I said, he's sleeping in Matthew's bed to where his like wife opens doors like, I'm going to work. Like you can tell she's almost a place like she's fed up with him being distant and like he's so ingrained in this. And you see the red paint in the back of his truck bed. It was like, you're already connecting pieces. Like, yep, that was him.
Yep.
But he's just gunning for her so hard. And then he's going to the police station and like grilling them for answers. I like that. He's like, well, what about the K9 units? I haven't heard anything from, haven't heard any reports lately. And I like that the chief of police just goes, because they don't report to you. Like,
don't.
But I don't blame him. It's his kid. He's going to fight and claw. But like Justine, which I love that they're so much at odds when we first meet them, but he's so much like her more than he'd love to admit. Yeah. He's also impulsive and he doesn't think things through. He follows her home. He writes stuff on her car. Like, he's crossing lines too. Like,
Yeah.
I love that, like, they're the same person on different sides of the coin. And it's
so interesting because you have to imagine that in different ways they're going through similar emotions, like grief and wanting to know the truth of what happened. Yeah. And it isn't until later that they actually work together and put the pieces together. Because Archer has figured out a couple of things. And
enemies to friends arc that gets them where they need to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Random thing I noticed, and this is so it does not matter in the scope of this movie, but I was like, it's a weird thing that only I will notice. It's a Pake thing. Is when he's sleeping in his son's bed. So Matthew's room has a Mad Max Fury Road poster on the wall above the bed. Released in 2015. And I was like, well, if Matthew is in 3rd grade, that movie came out before he was born. And he can like a movie that's older than him. That's normal.
Oh, yeah.
But to have a movie poster for it that seems to be promotional material, I don't know. And I was like, but that could easily just be Archer's, and then he gave it to his son. But then I was like, does Archer look like a Mad Max fan? And then I started thinking to it, and I was like, it's just the weird things that make me think that only I notice and put any thought to.
Well, you know, I try to pay attention to those things, but I was more paying attention to Archer thinks he's talking to his son, and somehow it's Gladys's face that pops up, and that drew my attention away, Pake.
Gladys I'm the one looking at the Mad Max poster on the wall going,
let's do the math.
Right. Yeah.
You're not usually one for math, so I'm just a little surprised.
Well, again, that's easy because again, I this is the age of kids that I work with, so like I know I'm like 3rd grade, 8 to 9 years old. That movie came out 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. That's not within the realm of possibility. Not even womb watching can happen with that.
Which I think it's not an inconsistency because I'm like, no, it probably Archer for whatever reason. Maybe his contracting company sponsors the movie theater or something, and he gets a bunch of random free shit and had the poster. And then as Matthew is like 6, 7, 8 years old, and he watches Fury Road with him, and he goes, I love that. And he goes, oh, well, let me look through all my old stuff. I happen to have a poster for that movie. Let's put it on your... Yeah. There's so many ways you can like make it make sense. But like...
Yeah, that scene where Archer is in the room talking to his son, basically, or thinking, is this emotional part where he talks about trying to tell his son something and wanting to tell his son something. Basically, it was that he loved him. And so you have to wonder, what was the dynamic there before this happened?
Right. And then it just speaks again, I think, to that theme that we've talked about of like the blame game that like parents and people put on themselves, where he's situations like, again, what would have changed if I would have told my son that I loved him more? Would things have been different? Would that have protected him from this? Or just the, you know, and then that goes outside of that abuse is then if you want to look into like the gun violence and stuff aspect of that is like, when a parent loses a child and they're going to be like, every second is going to wait with, I should have held them more. I should have told them I loved them more. What things the regrets are what's going to be first. And
yeah.
So it's one of those things where he's faced with, I don't know if I'm going to see my son again. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know where he is. And in that moment, that's all he can think about is like, if only I would have just shown him more love.
Mm-hmm.
And you just see a grieving father.
Yeah. And then Gladys's face.
So scary. And then he starts putting those things, like putting some things together. He's like, because again, the way of him beating himself up in this grief cycle is just constantly rewatching the Ring camera footage of Matthew running off in the middle of the night. He's just putting himself through that. But it makes him start thinking is like he's making a beeline in a very direct route. And it gives him this idea to go, he knows that Bailey, one of the other kids that ran off, is like, did their family have a Ring camera? And he's just like thinking, and he goes over there to try to put these pieces together, which I had to laugh a little. I was like, how perfectly patriarchal Archer. I'm mostly kidding, but also, I mean, he's going to do what he can to get answers. But I was like, really? It's like, Bailey's mom says no to letting him look at the Ring camera. So what does he do? He waits for the husband to get home and then ambushes him to ask him instead.
It's like a kid going to mom and dad to get permission.
And you could tell she looked pretty pissed standing there as they're going over the footage, and she's standing on the stairs, arms crossed, watching them with this scowl, like,
I don't blame her.
No. But then, when we mentioned, because Justin Long was Bailey's dad, which, making quick cameo after his role in Barbarian. I love that.
I know. Perfect, right?
Yeah, so Archer's trying to, pinpoint where the kids are running to.
And he's going to the spot, he's trying to find the spot, but instead sees the Witchmobile, which is what I'm calling Justine's car, and decides to pull in to talk to Justine. And that's...
he's going to confront her. And then that's where, you mentioned he's confronting her and then gets interrupted by the most horrific thing in the movie so far to this point. This zombie-like Monster Marcus. Running single-mindedly after Justine with, like you said, the arms out, in the footage with the kids. And so after that situation, which we'll get to later, but I think that's after surviving the Marcus situation and a lot of things that go on, that's what brings Justine and Archer together kind of on the same page, where they realize we are not enemies, we're not at odds, we want the same thing, we're working to figure out this together, and we both care. Instead of hating each other, let's put our minds together and figure out what we can do.
And they did. Because as soon as Justine saw the map, she was able to figure out that...
her there was the perfect piece. Yeah. He's like, the lines intersect in this area, and she's like, oh, you mean Alex Lilly's house. Got it. Okay, I knew there was something fucked up going on there, and now it's confirmed, so... Yeah. So,
we then, at this point... have a little transition to Paul.
Quick one. Not a lot to talk
about, because we saw a lot of it during what we saw with Justine. So,
he's a Maybrook police officer, the son-in-law of the chief of police that we saw earlier. We also learned that after the scene with Justine, then we learn that he is in recovery for alcohol and he's trying to live sober, which explains his behavior in the bar with Justine and the seriousness of her convincing him, and why his wife was extra mad. But then we also see through his section what caused him to drink with Justine. He had, Paul's very bad, not good day.
He really did.
Stress with his relationship with his wife, his father-in-law, and then it all gets compounded by him getting stabbed by a heroin needle that's on a perp, and then he uses excessive force and retaliation, only to realize he's on camera, dash cam doing it, and he's now scared he could lose his job. There's just a lot going on with Paul that day.
Very interesting that his father-in-law didn't offer to have that camera wiped. Not protecting him in any way whatsoever. But also, we can't overlook this. Paul had basically told Justine that he and Donna were not really together right now.
Yeah. And then the first thing we hear is he's on the phone and she's like, ovulation schedules. And it's like, oh, they're trying to have a baby.
Yeah. Paul brought a lot of his bad day on himself, I think.
Oh, yeah. And he's a pretty shitty cop, too. Let's just be honest.
He's not great. He's not great at all.
His interaction with James, where, you say nothing, I let you go. He was like a kid panicking for hitting his little sibling and then trying to keep himself from getting in trouble.
Yes.
Don't tell mom and dad. Don't tell. Just what can I do? I'll give you candy. You can play my PlayStation.
Yeah. Just don't tell what I did.
Is some of that coming from personal experience? Maybe.
Are you saying that you had to bribe your brothers not to tell on you?
Maybe. But I guess he lucks out because James is not going to the cops for anything anyway. So
no. At least not until later.
Yeah, when $50,000 is on the line,
right?
He will. But But then at least he does go to his father-in-law. He goes to the chief to let him know what happened, like, directly after. Like, he's not just gonna, like, keep that a secret. But also he does that because he's scared and he's trying to pull favor from his father-in-law to be like, cover it up for me. How do you get me out of this situation?
And his father-in-law is a good cop because no, he's not going to do that. And I also...
hand wobble on that one.
Well, no.
Because he also says you have a month before the tape gets wiped, and then they have no proof. So if he comes in within a month and the evidence is there, I have to release it. But if we wait long enough, then it goes away. Like,
yeah,
it was a little middle of the ground there.
I feel like his father-in-law looks at him though and doesn't see cop material. Honestly,
no.
Not at all.
And then the very bad day continues the next day because, well, not only is he, like, hung over the next day, and he did get, like, him and Justine did hook up.
Yeah.
Then that morning doesn't even wake up. He walks into his house, hung over. His wife is home early. He has to tell her what happened. So now he's cheated on his wife. She's mad at him. He goes into work and is getting the death stare from his father-in-law, who obviously, immediately after he left the house, she called Dad.
Yeah.
So he's just feeling like utter shit. And then first thing on his shift, he heads out to the lot to get to his car, and there's James walking up to the station, and he just snaps.
Yep.
He's like...
chases him down, like he goes after him. Right away.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he didn't even really try to hide it from his wife. He just says at first he's out, but she knows his look. You've got that fucked by Justine look that you get from time to time.
Fucked by Justine.
It's a new fragrance.
I know, a new fragrance. That's exactly what I was saying. Fuqueid. Fucked.
Yeah. But then we transition to James, who, okay, James is not a great guy, but oh man, he's a complicated
He's an interesting
boy.
character. I will say, and I don't have the actor's name written down, but I will pull it up real quick because props.
Austin Abrams.
Yeah. And I don't know if I've seen him before. I don't think so, because I never watched Euphoria. He was in that, apparently, as I'm like looking at his IMDb right now, but I did not watch that. He's also in This Is Us that I didn't watch.
Pake, want to know where you saw him before? Well, he played a little role of Ron Anderson on The Walking Dead.
Oh my god,
he's grown up.
I got to that going through his filmography as you said that. Fucking Ron.
Yep.
I did not even recognize him because
he's grown up.
Much older.
Yeah, so
yeah.
For anyone, and I know some people that listen to this watch The Walking Dead because you're fans of Walking Dead cast or Cast of Us and that community. Ron was the son of Jesse, and what was the name that they get? Porch Dick was what they called the guy?
Yeah.
And he's the one who...
Sam's older brother.
Yeah, he shot Carl in the eye. He's the one that did it.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I didn't recognize him at all as that. That's awesome. But yeah, so other than that, he hasn't, I mean, I guess he's been in like Euphoria and This Is Us and stuff, so he's done stuff I haven't seen. But yeah, I didn't even realize him from The Walking Dead. But yeah, he has been getting a lot of praise for his role as James here, of just being like, there's a lot of people, and hopefully this isn't too offensive to say, because I do want to be mindful of like people with addiction and that deal with that stuff. So just kind of talk about junkies on here, and people are like, okay, it's a little, you can get a little touchy with that kind of stuff. But I have seen a lot of people online and be like, are we sure they didn't just hire an actual addict for this role because he plays it that well?
Oh wow, I hadn't seen any of that.
Yeah, like he's gotten a lot of praise for being like, he's very convincing. From like people who have dealt with like addiction problems or like in like areas that like they deal with and support and help people with addictions. a lot of those people have kind of come out and been like, that's maybe one of the most convincing acting jobs for somebody dealing with addiction that I've ever seen portrayed ever. And so it's like, good for him. Just puts on an incredible performance.
Absolutely. He was very convincing. The guy was resorting to some interesting ways to make some money.
Yeah, I mean, as we see him, he's homeless, he's an addict, he's stealing stuff, attempting to pawn it for money. And during these activities, trying to break into places and steal stuff, that's where he runs across Paul the first time. We see how that winds up. And then after he's done with that interaction, when Paul lets him go, the next place he comes across is the Lilly household, Alex's home. All the newspapers in the driveway giving the appearance that nobody's been home for a while. Again, Gladys not doing a great job of like blending in. Now she's like giving like a free rein to like a robber to be like, this place doesn't have a normal family living in it right now.
Well, and the yard was out of control. Yeah. Like you see that progress over the month, basically, that or more that she's there. Because at one point they say the kids have been missing for 30 days. So you know Gladys has been there for at least a month and a half.
Over a month.
Yeah.
A month and...
So the yard is very unkempt now. It doesn't look like it did when we first were seeing Alex.
She's not sending
home.
Alex out there to mow the yard.
No, she's having him do everything else.
God, I know.
And he's doing it because he's afraid.
He's like, what's one more chore to give him? Come on, make him mow the yard. Pick up the newspapers. I don't know, something. But yeah, so he breaks in there to rob the place, which leads him to finding a lot of interesting things.
Oh, man.
Alex's parents, some really creepy situation, but mainly the missing children. James is the one that finds the children. And then he, some of the stuff that he stole from the house, he still goes back to the pawn shop, and that's where he realizes, the $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of these children. And again, James isn't like a great guy. He's not thinking, oh my God, I found those kids. Let me save the kids. He's thinking $50,000. Yep. Yes, please. That's all he cares about is the money.
Yep. He's thinking, I can buy a lot of drugs with that. But he got creative with some of his stories, like calling up a family member to tell them why he needed money for shoes and clothes for the job that he really didn't have.
I'm going to say, with having addicts in my life at different points in time, I'm used to that. No, hey, I got a new job and I need money for this. And when you know full well, it's like, you've tried this before. I know what you're doing. Unfortunately, like, not to bring it down, but it's like, nope, that's your life. Yeah. Seen it. Yeah. Been there, been a part of that. It happens.
I mean, saying that he needs money to get a bus ticket, like, I've heard that before from, documentaries.
Yeah. Yeah, when we first see him outside the liquor store, that was his story then when he stops Justine on her way in and out. Hey, I need some money, I need a bus ticket so I can go visit my brother. Okay, but yeah, so back at the house before he goes over there, he sees the state that Alex's parents are in. Like I said, it's a fucking yikes. But his like unsettling creepiness aside, he's still gonna rob the place. Once he realizes they're catatonic, he's like, then I'll just continue what I was doing. Okay.
I'm gonna fill this up and then I'm gonna leave and pawn it for $100. Go get some drugs. And then go to the police station.
Another thing, because I like just like noticing like little things. Again, posters. I don't know, posters in this movie. So most of the names of the missing children, just for funsies, since we get the zoom in on the reward poster. There's 5 that we don't get. I know Bailey is one of them that was on that bottom row of the other 5, because we have that name from when Archer went to her parents, and she's not one of the ones that was listed, so she was on there. But I was like, the first like 2 rows at least. Elena Martinez, Emma Williams, George Davis, Ryder Preciado, Lisa Flores, Lucas Anderson, Sebastian Steele, Mason Thompson, Matthew Graff, Archer's son, Madeline McNulty, Aria Taylor, and Parker Lee. And then there's 5 more on the bottom that we don't actually get the names of. We get like the pictures a little bit and then it pans back up before the names at the bottom. So there's a Bailey something. I didn't write down the name. He says it at some point. So that's one of the names on that bottom row. And then 4 others. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe I could have paused and paid attention to the first names, at least on like the supply boxes before Alex like takes all the names off to like bring them home to Gladys. But I didn't do that. So,
you know, I have to wonder. I thought about this. Imagine the story that these kids that were in this movie, even if they don't go on to do any other roles, imagine the story they're going to tell in the future. Oh, yeah, I was in that movie and I got to run screaming and eat a lady.
Yep.
I mean, that's something.
Yes.
But yeah, James, he's
phobic. He doesn't want to go to the police station.
No.
But $50K is enough to convince him to finally decide to go, even if he really doesn't want to.
Exactly. I mean...
Yeah. He did find the kids.
He did. But when Paul tracks him down, oh my God, Paul got more needle pricks.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's walking up, and Paul coming out as he's walking up to the place. I was like, there's a whole new twist on your plans. Yep. Your day's going differently than you thought it would.
Yep.
Which leads to only Paul knowing. It's like, why does it got to happen that way? It's like, because if he would have walked into the police station and talked to anyone else, then all of the police would have known what house the kids were in.
Yep.
But because Paul snapped on him and drove after him, and then it keeps anybody else from knowing. And then, so what happens later in the movie is it's James' fault. Honestly.
Kind of.
Well, Paul's fault, really, I guess.
It is Paul's fault because honestly, Paul goes to get James, and James had just seen Freaky Gladys in the woods, okay? I'd be afraid too.
Waving like fucking Pennywise.
She just needed a red balloon.
I know.
Because honestly, the makeup that they did for Gladys, if you were at a distance and squinting, it's kind of Pennywise-ish, especially with the hair.
Mm-hmm. Seeing Gladys out there, freaks him out enough to once again stab Paul with heroin needles.
Yeah.
Paul's still having just a real bad day.
Well, it's about to get worse. So, James is telling Paul, I'll take you to the house.
Gun pointed at him. I'll take you.
I know where the kids are. I'll take you to the house. But then once they get there, I think James was thinking, oh, is Paul going to take the reward money?
I know. Again, he's only thinking about the money because, like, Paul's not even thinking about that. He's like, okay, we'll follow up on that. At least he does.
Yeah.
But he's like, I'm going to leave you cuffed in the back of the car for now, though. And then I was just like, sir, how do I know you're not going to just take the money for yourself? It's like, is that what you're thinking about?
Yep.
Oh, my God. I love that Paul just, like, doesn't answer him. He's like, maybe I will.
It's a great idea. It's a great idea. I don't think Paul thought about that until James brought it up.
No.
And so, day turns to night.
Yeah.
James is in the car.
Seemingly hours.
Yeah. James is in the car waiting.
Because, I mean, whenever they got there, Alex would have still been at school.
Yeah.
So, hours.
Yeah. Hours go by. James is in the car. And Paul comes out. Only it's not Paul. He has been possessed.
Mm-hmm.
By the ritual, which we'll get to.
Yep. He's coming to grab James and bring him inside too. No loose ends.
Nope. And he drags him. Like he's dragging him into the house. I think at that point, James is like, I need to get... This was a really bad idea. Because it was.
Yes. And then we get another flashback in time. We're going to jump way back in the timeline.
We're going right back to Marcus, the principal, Benedict Wong.
And I love starting this section off with rehashing the phone call between Marcus and Justine after she sees Alex's parents through the window. And her saying, I'm telling you, Marcus, there's something very, very wrong going on inside of that house. Right after we see Paul dragging James in. And I was like, yeah, you think?
Yeah. Really happening there. It's all going down. Yeah. But then we meet Gladys.
Mm-hmm. After, because Justine calls him on the fact, Marcus, that, well, because I'm telling you this about the house, whether I'm supposed to be there or not, I'm giving you information. Legally, you have to follow up on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he calls the parents to the school. Although instead of the parents, yeah, we get introduced to the enigmatic Gladys.
Oh, Gladys. What a polarizing character. I mean, she honestly is in the running for big baddie of the season, for sure. I have to wonder how often she's done this. Like, how long has she been doing things like this?
Mm-hmm.
And why would she want to do it to her family members? Like, I don't know.
She's desperate. I think she's desperate. When we see her, because she's getting messy.
She is.
A lot of the things that that have happened in this movie is like because she's getting messy and she's getting sloppy because she's desperate. She knows she's more and more sick. It seems like she's been able to feed off of people like Alex's parents or one person or two people and sustain, because they don't ever spell out what's going on. But it is some kind of like witchcraft occult thing. We don't know how old she is, but basically by doing this, she's found a way for immortality. She can suck the life force from other people. And if she's been doing it a long time, we don't know, but like the efficacy of it is fading a little bit.
Yeah.
To where she's not able to feed off of Alex's parents as long and as much as she thought she would. And she's getting desperate. She's getting sick. She's dying. And she's like, I need to make a big move. And she's like, I need life forces that are a lot younger and have a lot more potential in them. And that comes in the form of Alex's entire third grade class.
Yes.
Like she's going, she's desperate when she's making a swing that big, because that's gonna make waves in the community.
Absolutely. And she doesn't want anyone coming to the house. She wants to keep them off the radar, which why she didn't have the place like cleaned up at least outside. And how is she dealing with their work? Like, they're not showing up to work, his mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how is she explaining that away? I thought after this conversation that Gladys has with Marcus, which Justine inadvertently didn't plan for this end for him and his husband, puts him in the line of fire when it comes to Gladys. Yeah,
because he states to her, well, in order for me not to have to call CPS and get them involved, I do have to speak to the parents. And so Gladys is like, well, unfortunately, that means I have to get rid of you. Got it.
Yeah.
Deal.
And so Marcus is married to Terry, who seems like a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're sitting down to watch a great documentary on cordyceps.
With too many hot dogs.
With too many hot dogs.
With too many
hot dogs. I thought it was really interesting that they were watching that, cordyceps.
Yeah.
Because when has that ever come up before?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I don't know, never.
Never. Not on this podcast, but I mean, it's something that's been talked about with...
It has on this podcast.
Yes. Okay, so I'm right. Back with the girl with all the gifts. Yeah.
That's cordyceps.
But I tied that in because of cordyceps and what they are and feeding off and all of it. It all made sense to me. Like that.
Yeah. And then also, I think I'm jumping ahead just a little bit, but because when we get to Alex's section, the first note on that, because the first thing we see is him in class with all that. And Justine is teaching on parasites.
Yep.
Which, how fitting. Because that's literally, I mean, what Gladys is this parasite who's getting into the brains and bodies of her victims to feed off of them and control them to do what she needs for her own
Absolutely.
ends. It's a very fitting kind of thing to like throw in there with them watching that and then getting Justine's class where they're like, can anyone name me a kind of parasite? It's like, Gladys.
Yep.
Alex just raised him, my Aunt Gladys.
Yeah. Well, poor Marcus, who is so calm when he talks about things, which is why it was even more jarring when he was running down the hill with his eyes wide open, like ready to kill Justine. He's very calm when he's talking to her that he needs to speak to the parents. He's not like standing there saying, you gotta let me see them or else. He's just being very calm about it.
He does a good job at his job.
tries to diffuse any worry and then be able to, do what he needs to do. Because I don't think he really believes Justine, but that's beside the point. Unfortunately, Gladys shows up at their house and Terry wants to let her in and give her the water. He's just very trusting, and Marcus is like, no, I don't think he wanted to. And then she asked for a bowl of water, and I'm like, this is never going to go well. And I said, you know what? Unfortunately for Marcus, his story is about to take a tragic turn.
Yeah. Some super fucked up witchcraft. It's the first time we really see kind of start getting answers of what's going on. Gladys has Marcus's ribbon, and then let's bring in the title of the movie, to make him her weapon. And then a lock of his husband's hair to make him the target of that weapon, and with a bloody snap of an evil twig, murder. And after that worked, she resets it with new hair that we saw cut earlier, making Marcus's next target Justine.
I have to say, Zach Cregger, you need to make sure that the hair matches, because the hair that she wrapped around that twig was straighter and longer than Justine's hair. It just was. It's me noticing details, and it definitely was. It was pretty disgusting, though. Marcus, throws up on Terry before he bashes him in the head. And it's this black bile, and yeah. By the end, Terry's head looks like a hamburger. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, yeah.
I was eating a hamburger while watching this movie.
You were? Oh, no. Not a good idea. I'm glad we're talking about it after.
And then, so then we see what happens with, Marcus going to the gas station. We get, fast forward back up to that point. And that's where it was kind of surprising. Archer actually came to Justine's rescue. He bodies Marcus into a convenience store cooler, buys her enough time to be able to drive off. And then Marcus is killed by a car while he's chasing her down, saving her for now.
More hamburger head, basically, to me. Mm-hmm. Half his head is missing and there's brains everywhere.
Tragic end for Marcus. He was nothing but the best person in this movie. He was legitimately just a great principal and a great guy and didn't deserve any of that. But that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And then, as we see Archer helping and saving Justine. And then I don't think he expected it, but then we see the favor returned when he's getting his arm patched up from bodying Marcus through this cooler and getting all the glass shards in him. He goes to the hospital to get patched up, and then as he walks out of the ER, Justine's there waiting for him. And that shared horrified experience, it seems to put them on the same page. And we talked about that as them then getting in his car and putting the pieces together with the map and realizing, okay, we do know kind of not what's going on, but at least where, and that something is definitely wrong at Alex's house.
Yeah. It all comes together. And this is where we get some of this. We transition from Marcus to Alex. Mm-hmm. This is where we get some of the saddest, gut-wrenching scenes.
I know. Again, there's the part of me that does the mentor volunteer work at school. Was I've had kids just like Alex, and I'm just I feel for him so bad.
It's so incredibly sad. And earlier we had seen Justine talk to him, and that's when we also talked about he's telling her not to follow him because he's trying to protect her from Gladys. Mm-hmm. And we also get that very sad shot of her going into the classroom and Alex is the only student there. Mm-hmm. We also get to see Alex was being bullied by one Matthew Graff.
Yeah, kind of a little shit.
Yeah.
Hopefully this whole situation makes him reevaluate that behavior if he ever comes. He's got his own traumas to deal with now, and I do feel for him.
Absolutely.
For sure. But it's
but that was just one part of Matthew. I mean, we see him visibly bullying Alex, or Axeman, as his dad calls him. Mm-hmm. So cute. And you can tell that he and his dad have this really great relationship.
Absolutely. Just very fantastic relationship, which is why, we get this mysterious Aunt Gladys who's coming to live with them, and she looks very old and sickly when we first see her. And then when he goes to school that next day and his dad doesn't come to pick him up, which is unusual. One, I mean, he said he would, but then clearly because they've told us and they've shown us the awesome relationship that they have, that it's extra weird. It's like, no, you see from their relationship and his dad that if he says, remember, I'll be here after school, then you bet your ass he's going to be there.
Exactly.
And so when he's not, something is wrong.
Absolutely. And I think, too, Alex's dad wasn't real on board with Gladys coming to live with them.
Mm-hmm.
He did have conversations with his wife about, does she really need to be here? Is this really, I mean, we're not a hospice, and because it's his wife's aunt. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to let her come. And even Alex is just kind of like, he doesn't even know her. Although later, here's the thing. Alex's parents haven't seen Gladys in 15 years. But she says to him that she saw him when he was a baby.
Yeah, I picked up on
that.
That
Math does not math. That does not math at all. So I thought that was a little strange.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's an inconsistency as much as just Gladys bullshitting.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to, like, she's never seen that kid before.
No.
She's going to try to, like, wiggle her way in.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Teresa, yeah, the Heat has to walk himself home before that.
A long way.
I guess, I mean, the fact that he knows his way home at the age of 8 that's good. Good for him. Like, that's important to know.
I feel like, too, they purposely wanted us to see Alex's life before and after the arrival of Gladys. Because they wanted us to see the trauma that was brought on.
And that's, again, I go back to kind of the theme we talked about where you see, like, there is that sudden shift. And it is something for, I guess, people to look out for if they're, kids that you care for and are familiar with it. Like, a lot of those kind of that abuse and that trauma will shift things so drastically that, like, you kind of have to, like, worry about some of that to be, like, to notice, like, Alex was he was bullied and he was a little quiet already. But then just to see, like, he had, like, a happiness to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then immediately, like a day shift, and
everything changed.
So much gloomier and so much, and it's just like he's walking on eggshells and he's terrified. And it's like you see those kind of those behavioral reactions.
Well, and you look at kids and how they look at their parents as being the ones to save them. Because when Gladys is talking to him, he throws water on his dad trying to wake him up because he's thinking, if I could wake my dad up, he's going to protect me.
Yeah.
And I think also knowing sometimes he had rough things at school, he knew he had his parents at home and they loved him. And to have that taken away, he basically was left alone with nothing, no one to protect him. He was going to have to figure out what to do. And Gladys gets so angry at him that she does a little test to show him the next morning exactly what she can do.
Yeah. And again, it's a very unsettling, looking at it through that lens I was talking about, where you're like, okay, if there's this analogy and this theme of the movie is there, and if you look at it through that lens of that very much being like, you don't tell anybody, and we keep it so because you see what things will get worse if you talk to anybody about it. And, like, you just need to stay silent and subservient and obey and follow what I say. And it's very unsettling and uncomfortable. And you just really feel for him. And it's like, because again, threatening other people you care about, because those kind of things happen. Oh, your parents will feel differently about you because of this or that or whatever. It's like, there's so many things that can happen, and it's manipulative and it's disgusting. But it's just like, you see that kind of played out here. It's like, literally threatening his parents, be like, no, if you don't, if you're not doing what I want you to do, then others are going to suffer because it's your fault.
And he takes it very seriously and realizes that the life of his parents depends on what he does. And so he doesn't tell anyone what's going on. And she basically makes him cater to her to needs, basically, with, here, get some soup and feed your parents and feed the kids downstairs once they're there. And he's stuck with doing a lot of the grunt work for her out of fear. And there's one scene where they're at the tree, at her little tree that she has in the bedroom, and he's basically talking to her like in this very, caring way, but you can tell he's an 8-year-old who's terrified, where he's just asking her things like, do you want can I get you some water? Do you want to go to the hospital? And then he asks her, if you get better, will you go home? And she said she will. And that's all he wants, is for her to leave.
Mm-hmm. Again, that like manipulation. And so he's just like, okay, then I don't understand it. But if you need something that belongs to my classmates, if that'll make you go away, then sure,
right.
I'll
because
do that.
I don't know that he really understands exactly what's happening. Except he sees her doing part of the ritual, and he's like, he doesn't really understand why she's doing it. But he's gonna do whatever because he wants things to go back to normal. He doesn't want to live in this world anymore the way that it is, with her being in control of everything. He wants his parents back.
Yeah.
And so he goes to school and he takes all of their name cards, it looks like, from their boxes.
Yeah.
And brings them home, and she uses them in the ritual, because that's what I called it, is the ritual that she does. And then we see all the kids. They come to the house. They're gathering a little flock. And at one point...
that's her new source to feed off of.
Her new energy source.
And using her threatening hold over Alex to just keep things as quiet as possible. And that's, where we see that, like, yeah, the police are going to come and check because he's the only student that's left and all the things that we saw that happened. But, like, then we see the lens of, like, all of him being like, I don't know what happened. And all the answers he gave and everything was just coming from a place of fear.
He was terrified. He thought that she would kill his parents and probably him. And so he didn't have a choice. She made him a minion, basically, to do all of these things. And people came in to check out the house because she had him clean it up. Like, man. Everything was fine. He's taking care of everyone. And then this is when things really start to hit the head. She tells him not to step over the salt.
Yeah, yes, back to the present.
Back to the present, yeah. Back to the present of the story.
Gets back, like, home from school, and then Paul and James are standing in the living room under Gladys's spell. And then Gladys is, like, these, like, finishing touches. You see, like, the heat's a little too high on the house right now. So she's like, we're leaving. She's gonna take Alex, and they're gonna run. But first, she's got to deal with the prying eyes of Justine and Archer. She's aware they're outside, uses Paul to bring them in. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, the salt line tripwires. Anyone who crosses the lines, they're...
Where have we seen that before? Just a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Used a little differently. But yeah. Because these are like... It's ingrained in her weapons, right? That are Paul and James and even Alex's parents. That, like, they're just these inanimate objects until somebody crosses their salt line, and then that's like the order.
Yeah.
The weapons are instructed to kill anyone who crosses that line. She tells Alex, don't cross the line. She gives him warning. He still does, which make his parents go after him. But
he's resourceful enough to be able to hide or get away from them.
Yeah.
As much as he can.
Great. Yeah. That kid was awesome.
So good.
End, he's so good.
So good.
But yeah, then Justine crosses the one line and then sets off James and Paul after her and Archer, leaving to her having to fight with Paul and Archer and James. Holy potato peeler, Batman. God.
I knew you were going to have a problem. I knew you were going to be like, no.
Yeah.
But
But on the other side, at least, the Archer and James fight. James absolutely not staying down, just like punch, knocked out, back, and then he keeps getting throw him over the couch, throw him over the table, throw him over here, kick him over there. It almost got funny. That was like a kind of a comedic moment there at the end. It was like he just constantly will not stay down, punch, throw, and he's like, and he just keeps coming. But that struggle with James leads to Archer finding the kids. After Justine has to pull Paul's gun to kill both Paul and then James. Mm-hmm. But as Archer then goes down there and he's looking for his son, doesn't find Matthew down there originally, which I was like, is it that dark? He's like grabbing kids that are clearly not his son and be like, are you? And it's like,
are you my son?
He's black. That's a girl.
Yeah, no.
I don't think you should know sooner than looking and inspecting that wasn't Matthew, but maybe it's darker down there than the movie can show. Yeah, he's looking, but instead of his son, he finds somebody else. Something else very creepy down there in the basement. Very creepy moment. Kind of reminded me, again, thinking back of Barbarian. It was like kind of the reveal of that, like, bad in that movie. Is like, I'm here,
There's a monster in the basement. It's incredibly terrifying.
Gladys, gets control of Archer in that moment. And then, since Paul has been... That's twice now that Justine has had a weapon aimed at her and has been able to have it dispatched in one way or another. So third time's a charm. We send Archer after her. But then that's where we cut to Alex.
And Alex has been paying attention. Alex has been paying attention to Gladys and what she's been up to. And while his parents are trying to break down the door to get into where he is.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming after him, and I mean, Alex's mother breaks through the bedroom door and screams at him through the hole, and I mean, I have to. I literally would probably have to quit this podcast if I didn't do this. So, bear with me. Sorry. Alex's mother, again, breaks through the bedroom door, screams at him through the hole in the door. I'm not going to apologize for this, but you know that I'm not happy. That is a mandatory comment that I have to do. Fuck it. Here we go. Here's mommy. Okay. Now that we've gotten through that, let's move on. I had to.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Mandatory. I'm not proud of it, but I couldn't not do it.
I'd like to know. Feel like... Can you tell me who made it mandatory? Was it you that made it mandatory? I feel like it was you.
Just the universe, truthfully. I feel like
okay.
There's been a precedent set on this podcast that joke is right there, that if I didn't do it, there would be some imbalance in the universe, and I have to make sure that's right. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't feel good about it, but I had to do it.
Okay.
It was necessary.
All right. I don't approve of this message, but okay. Yeah.
It had to happen.
But this, honestly, Alex has paid attention to
he was paying attention.
Everything that Gladys had done.
When Gladys was doing that to his parents with the forks and stuff, and she says, do you see what I'm doing? Watch. Oh, he was. Mm-hmm. He was watching very carefully.
So much so that he took the hairs from her wig, wrapped them around the stick.
Got the doom twig.
And broke it. And the little bell goes off.
That pricks his finger on it to get his blood. Yeah, everything. But again, taking her hair from the wig, like you said. It's not beautifully brilliant boy. Yeah, I love it so much. I'm just like rooting for him, like, yes, Alex, you're amazing. Mm-hmm.
It was amazing.
You said that, like, about the instant that he does it, Gladys realized, and it was that moment she realized she fucked up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's fucked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell. She realizes that it's over. Like, she's got to run. And she was running for her life.
Yeah.
Because...
And then, we talked about that, this whole sequence of her running through yards and houses and fences with this pack of children screaming after her.
So great.
Wonderful karmic retribution. So good. And this pack of wild little magical hostages finally catching her and ripping her apart.
So good.
Which breaks any hold that she has on anyone else. Mm-hmm. Which saves
Archer.
I almost want to call her Ruth. I've done so good the whole time. But Justine from Archer, and then saves Alex from his parents. Maybrook is finally free of this evil. And then kind of full circle on back what we talked about before those, like we do see with the ending, those like the kids that she took still have to live with the trauma of it all. Like that part will linger. And we see and I talked about this already, we had those kids and then even Alex's parents, those that were affected by her for an extended period of time. They don't bounce back quite so well.
No.
Not immediately. But we kind of get that hope with, some of them are talking, like I said, that things are starting to heal. That there's hope down the road. There's a chance that things will become not, normal, I guess. Like I said, you can never you can't undo the damage that's been done. It's always going to be there, and these people will always remember what happened to them. But at least some semblance of normalcy, some kind of healthy, life moving forward is attainable.
Yeah. Yeah. It would have been nice to know what happened to Justine, though. Like, I would like to know what happened to her. I hope she got straightened out. And
she goes back to her and Paul. Well, no, Paul's dead.
Yeah, he's gone.
She can take his place. Maybe she starts going to some meetings.
That would be nice. Maybe she gets
a therapist.
Yes.
That would be step one. But yeah, hopefully as she returns to teaching and is able to find joy in that and still be, comforted by that and it not be too triggering being in a, classroom with children. Hopefully she can work through that. And because it seemed like that really was her happy place. Like she was a good teacher and she truly did love teaching. And so I like to think that hopefully she's in a comfortable and healthy place that she's able to get back to teaching and maybe she, was a little less impulsive with things. Maybe she learned some lessons, but yeah, I hope that she's able to get back to that place that she really feels that where she belongs and what she's good at is caring for these kids and teaching.
Yeah. I have to think that the longer that they were under the influence of Gladys, that is how much more or deeper they were in it. And so it's going to take time because Archer was only 10 minutes. That he was under her influence. So, it would have been interesting to see had Paul or James lived long enough, how they would have been affected, but it really wasn't that much longer for them.
Yeah. But like for Alex's parents, because the kids, it had been a month.
Yeah. And Alex's parents, it's probably
and then
been
even longer.
Yeah. So you have to imagine it's going to take a lot longer. Really.
But yeah. I think that does it.
I got a couple things I want to say. One, Zach Cregger thinks that Amy Madigan saved the movie. And when he was discussing the character, he gave her two options as to how Gladys became who she is. One, where she was a regular person who was using witchcraft to prevent her from dying from an incurable condition. And another one was that she was an immortal creature who was, performing these rituals to live forever. He didn't ask her which one she chose. He just let her run with it. And
we talked about that in coverage. I think that you don't really know. She could be either.
Yeah, you don't have any idea.
Or some mix of both.
Yeah. And he talked about that in an interview. It was with Vanity Fair where he talked about it. Yeah. And then, Amy Madigan is kind of the secret weapon of weapons. I was not expecting. And a lot of people feel that she was just above and beyond in the character. She embraced it so much that it was, an iconic role for her. And I have to agree. I think she was the right person for this role. She just committed. And that is what it needed. It needed someone who understood that Gladys, despite whatever the origin story was, Gladys was complicated and kooky and terrifying, and marrying all those things so that in your portrayal of this role, you can be all of those things at once.
Mm-hmm.
She absolutely did that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, Zach Cregger also thanked David Fincher in the movie credits, which I didn't watch all the credits, but it's because he thought he was really helpful throughout the process and gave him like constructive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Which David Fincher is a fantastic director in his own right.
Yeah,
he's done so many wonderful things, and so I think taking direction from him or getting feedback from him about what you're doing. I mean, this is the man who brought us Fight Club, okay? As one of the many movies he's directed. So he definitely understands things. And if Zach Cregger is looking to David Fincher as a role model, I have high hopes then, because David Fincher is fantastic.
So kind of, it goes again to, I'm now excited just to see what Cregger does next. Because I remember when we covered Barbarian several seasons ago.
Yeah.
I think this movie had maybe been announced at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. But I think we're talking, was like, I can't wait to see what he does next. I think there's this movie or whatever. Like, he's working on something, which now ended up being this, Weapons, that we never covered.
Yeah.
And so now after doing this, I'm like, all right, well, that's 2 for 2, home run. Where are we going next? With you, Zach?
I know.
Let's go.
What do you want to do next?
And I love that we're finding those directors we really are, like, glomming onto here.
I know.
Whether it is Jordan Peele or Zach Cregger, or Osgood Perkins.
Exactly.
Like, we're just like, okay, yeah.
Now, he was a producer on a movie called Companion, which fits in our genre. We have not done that yet. But he is involved with Resident Evil, the new Resident Evil movie.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I felt like Resident Evil had been already done, played out.
Yeah.
But if he's doing it, I'll give it. I'm willing to give it a try again. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to check it out. Just because I believe in Zach Cregger and what he's bringing to the table. We've got our
directors, like I said, that we trust to stuff. So I mean, with whatever he does next. And like I said, Osgood Perkins, Keeper is his new one that's coming out soon. So I've definitely I'm ready for that, and we'll definitely do something with that. Another one that's, I wouldn't say is newer. He's definitely had plenty of time to establish himself as a favorite, maybe my favorite, but I mean, Mike Flanagan.
Absolutely.
Is one of those where anything, I mean, Carrie is getting closer and closer, so we will definitely have to.
Is that going to be a series or a movie?
I'm probably a series, so we won't cover it here, but like.
It's so hard, Pate, because honestly, there are series that I would love to cover. Like, I had so much fun when we did Skeleton Crew. I would love for us to get a chance to cover another series again, because it was different, because covering TV is different than covering a movie.
Yeah, it's mini series. I don't know if they have like the amount of episodes planned, but I don't know. It's something we can look at for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to. I would love for us to do a series. It's hard to do it on Run for Your Lives, just because we're so focused on movies.
Things,
yeah. So I don't know.
But
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Excited. I also need to watch. So it was Jordan Peele. Him, even though it is not directed by Jordan Peele, when I remember when it was first announced, I was under the assumption that it was his directing. And I got really excited. And then I got less excited when he was just producing and not directing. But I've heard really good things about it. And so.
Well, and Jordan Peele is another comedian who is translating really, really well to horror.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Zach Cregger, Jordan Peele, John Krasinski. There's a lot that I think why some of the best horror directors and writers right now come from comedy backgrounds is because they're not that different. Both comedy and horror depend on you understanding the human condition and being able to get into the psyche of humans, whether it's what makes them laugh or what makes them scared. It's the same brainwaves a lot of times, and it's being able to understand human thinking and sociology. That horror and comedy are kind of two sides of that same coin. That it's the better understanding you have as a writer of people and what makes people tick and their emotions, you can write really good comedy towards that, or you can write really good horror to that. So I think it makes perfect sense that people who are really good at one can do the other.
Yeah.
Josh Rubin is another one. You know, when we did Hard Eyes.
Can we please have another? Please, Josh Rubin, give us another one. Yeah, I did not have a hard time coming up with a list of like newer directors. Because I feel like, honestly, they're the Clive Barkers, they're the Wes Cravens of this generation.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm excited about it. Because I think horror can get stale if you don't inject something new into this. And I feel like in the last 10 years, with what Jordan Peele has given us, with what John Krasinski, I mean...
Yeah. Because it's not just what's scary, but again, tapping into human psyche.
Yeah.
Is because of what are human emotions. And a lot of time, what are the things that are going to like really resonate with people? Grief, trauma, depression, sadness, the negative things. That's the, you know, the things that comedy is working to cure and help are the things that their horror stories can bring out and be like, we can take those things that are the true horrors that people face every day and make and turn it into something that is a supernatural, overblown, crazy horror thing.
Absolutely.
To where it puts a villain, a face, a monster to the real things that people face every day.
Absolutely. That's, I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe they're making it more human. They're making movies that feel more human, and that's why they're having more success. Because horror has changed. I mean, we slashers, and then there's movies like Psycho, and there's just been such an evolution. And it can get stale. I think this is the next step in the evolution. I'm ready for
real human emotion and thought and stuff into horror is so good because it's created so many great stories. Because it's not just for us to talk about. It's helped this podcast. Like, we can go on and talk about movies that were really creepy and scary, but then it also leads to much deeper conversations where we can get very vulnerable about things that we've experienced in life, or ways that we can say, like, here's things that people deal with that are heavy topics and really dark and hard to talk about, but we can talk about them because we can put it through the lens of this movie and what it's shown it as. So
absolutely. Yeah. I feel that way too. I think we've had some really deep conversations. In some movies, I didn't even see it coming until we got into the recording, and it was like, I did not know that I was gonna feel that way, or we were gonna do that.
If there was a surprise feels award for this season, that's going to Sketch.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh my God, Sketch. I have to watch that with my nieces. They're old enough to be able to watch it. I think their parents would be okay with it. That movie got me. It really did. Well, I think we did it, Pake.
We did. We talked it out. We got it. There goes the feedback phone. So hopefully we got some good feedback. Like I said, a lot of people have been asking about this one, so they better give us some feedback.
Yeah.
For it. So let me go get it.
Right.
All right, we do have some feedback this week to go through, so I'm excited for that. And it is all weapons feedback. So I'm excited. We got some feedback from some usual suspects, and then we've even got some new stuff. So awesome. We'll go ahead and kick it off with one of our good friends, Catherine, always writing in, says, "This was my first watch, and I knew nothing going in other than it was one of the best horror movies of the year. After Sinners and Bring Her Back, I was excited for another new thrill, but wasn't surprised to find I was shedding more tears than dealing with fears. I loved seeing the same situation from different characters' points of view. The axe and bathroom chase scene may have scared me more than the original Shining. At least Danny had Wendy, but poor little Alex was so alone. I rewound Gladys's ending a few times. It was so satisfying. That last minute of narration and seeing Matthew carried away left me shocked, but excited for a rewatch."
Thank you, Catherine.
Great feedback. And No, very much the same. This is one of the movies, as you've listened to this now, we talked about that. I had seen this prior to us covering it, so this was a rewatch for me. And no, it was that same thing. It was a movie. I was like, I'm going to watch this before we even try to cover it on the podcast. I'm ready to jump in. And it was that same thing, like you said, is that ending made me, like, immediately, I was like, I cannot wait to watch this again and podcast on it. Like, as soon as I was like, let's go.
That's how I felt too. Sam says, the way those kids run still haunts me. Me too. As does James and his needles. Ew. Amy Madigan is mesmerizing to me in her role as Gladys. I have so many questions. Is she really related to the family? Is she a long-lost relative who has been doing this to her descendants to live longer? A la killing Alex's grandma, etc.? Prequel, anyone? Kudos to Zach Cregger for an awesomely haunting ending where the kids we've been hoping for to survive go on to tear the monster apart. And that chilling narrator, even though the kids were rescued, some were never the same. A bittersweet victory. Can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely. And yeah, as you mentioned, the prequel thing, I'm sure maybe you have heard that there's been rumors of talks about Zach Cregger doing a prequel movie about Gladys and opening up some of those questions, answering some mysteries. As much as I really enjoy Zach Cregger after the movies he's done recently, I'm very on the fence about that because I don't know, when something is this good, I fear prequel and sequel stuff for crowd fulfillment, I guess, audience fulfillment, because I don't know, he better have a good reason and a good story to tell with it, because I don't know, some things are best left alone. But if he does follow through with it, I'll put trust in him, but we'll see.
He's a bit busy now because he's going to be writing and directing the new Resident Evil. That is a reboot, I think, of something. Anyway, I think it's coming. So
be interesting.
Yeah, he's going to be working on that.
All right. And then lastly, we have, as far as I know, I really believe first time feedback from Connor. Says, this movie rules. Only thing I thought that was weird was what's up with the 217 in the sky with the assault rifle. Please enlighten me. I saw an interview with Zach Cregger and he said he doesn't even know what it means. And so Connor, if you're listening to this now after you've listened to the entirety of our episode covering this, sorry, bud, I can't help you out much more than that, because I think when I talked about it, that's really all I said was I brought up the interview with Cregger talking about how he didn't know either. He just kind of felt it was right in the moment. So yeah, that's about all we got on that. I think we did, theorize a little bit more maybe on some possibilities, but it is one of those things that just, he was like, I think it's better if people have their own theories and opinions and thoughts on it. So
yeah,
interesting.
But we really appreciate you writing in. Sam,
absolutely.
Catherine, Connor, thank you so much. If you'd like to submit feedback, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Run For Your Lives Podcast, or you can email us, runforyourlivespodcast@gmail.com. You can go to runforyourlivespodcast.com for all the links you'll ever need. And if you're enjoying the show, tell your friends. We're available on all the podcast players, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. If you feel so inclined, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, as that is the best way to share the love and get us out there even more. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, we do. Of course, speaking of sharing the love, I got to give those shout outs to things going on in the Podcastica universe around us and beyond. A lot of great stuff for you to go check out. Of course, I keep saying it. I'm getting used to saying it now. My other podcast, Strange Indeed, will be back next week. If you're listening to this on release day, then next weekend, we will be back with Season 5, Episode 1 of Stranger Things. It is back next week on Thanksgiving Eve on Wednesday. So we should be recording probably on Saturday. So be looking for that in your feed Saturday, Sunday to jump into the new season of Stranger Things with Rima and I. We're going to have a good time with that one. I'm excited to get back to it. Also over on The Cast of Us, The Walking Dead rewatch continues on. Jason and Lucy on Season 5, Episode 6. This week, so continuing over there, check out the Rewatch podcast. Then over on Wax Episodic, they've been covering a lot of stuff. Jason's been busy over there. Been covering season 1 of Fallout, so I think you can go over there and check out whatever the most recent episode of that over there is this week. And then also Welcome to Derry, the It show. I guess it's It, Welcome to Derry, over on HBO Max. Jason and Sean have been covering that over there, and that's been so great listening to them and watching that show. That show's been nuts, so that's been a lot of fun. Also, the new Vince Gilligan show over on Apple TV, Pluribus, Jason and Karen have been covering, and I am loving that show. That's actually, as I'm recording this, my plans when we're done recording is I'm going to watch this week's episode of Pluribus. I'm dying to know what's going to happen next. Such a great one, so definitely catch the coverage of that over on Wax Episodic as well. Also have the newest Podcastica podcast, They Did What?, which is covering true crime and documentaries and things like that with crazy stuff going on. So, of course, Kelsey, Jen, and Becky are over on there this week covering Netflix's The Perfect Neighbor. So if you've watched that, want to talk about that, or hear talking about that, check out their coverage of that on They Did What podcast. Also, Baketastica, continuing coverage over there on Great British Baking Show. You can catch Wendy, Jamie, and Greg over there, season 13, episode 9. They're covering the newest Bake Off stuff, so check that out as well. And lastly, Squid Game cast. Daphne, right here, has been hanging out with our pal Nathan over there, covering Squid Game The Challenge, season 2, and the finale is up this weekend, so...
Yeah.
It's out now, but you'll be recording it this weekend.
Yeah, we're recording it tomorrow night, and I'm excited to talk about it. It definitely was a pretty fun season. And they're already casting for season 3.
Should we try to get on?
I think we should. And they're also allowing fans to vote in a player from this season that got eliminated maybe too early.
Yeah. I have some thoughts on who I would like. Get a couple.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We'll have to see. But yeah, so definitely check that out. And then, as I say, beyond, make sure you check out some other great podcasts on other networks. Our good friends over at Pirate Core Entertainment have been doing some great stuff. Becky and Mandy over on the What's On Tonight podcast have been also covering It, Welcome to Derry, so you can check their coverage there. And then over on Panels to Pixels, Mark and Rob get with Adam Gonzalez and the crew from the short film The Raven to talk about that. So definitely check that out and check out their conversation, interview, and chat there. And then lastly, our good friends over at TV Podcast Industries, lots of comic booky kind of stuff. So they got Marvel Zombies coverage over there is the newest stuff you can go check out with them. So make sure you do that as well. A lot of great stuff to check out. If you want more of me and Daphne, our other podcast, the Buffalo podcast, keeps rolling on. We just, herding through the plains of your ears. That sounds weird. Every week with our good friends Jeff and Jerry as well. Taking a little break from movies and TV shows and pop culture coverage. Well, we still do a lot of pop culture goofiness, but it's just a place for us to get together, shoot the shit, talk, hang out, try to make each other laugh, chat, play games, and just get to hang out. You get to join us as we hang out every week over there and be goofy little boys and girl. So check it out. It's a good time. And after you've checked out all of that wonderful stuff, you got plenty of stuff to listen to. You can come back to Run for Your Lives right here next week, where we'll have something else fun for you. Daphne, what are we doing next week?
Well, a battered pilot and an untested trainee join forces to operate a colossal Jaeger against an onslaught of interdimensional kaiju. As the breaches widen and humanity edges toward extinction, their bond becomes the last line of defense. We are covering Guillermo del Toro's 2013 film, Pacific Rim. And we're going to be joined by a very special guest.
Very special guest. Mm-hmm. We've had a lot of great guests on this show, but this one might earn a gold medal in special guestery. I don't know.
I think you could be right, Peg. Tune in next week to find out.
Yes.
With that, we've reached the end of a truly terrifying episode of Run for Your Lives. Thanks, everyone, for listening. I'm Daphne.
And I'm Peg.
And if you have to run, you better run for your lives.
Bye-bye.